Is that what I think it is? Did you go out and buy the German water?
No, it's not the German. It's of the Italian variety. My standard San Pellegrino.
Listen, guys, I really appreciate you riding riding the bandwagon here on the water train, but you got to keep up with me, guys. We have passed by Pellegrino. We are now on to German. I still can't say this. Gralsteiner.
No.
What makes that one superior?
Well, it's mineral count. It's a heavier water, and it has more minerals in it. So it's got more calcium, magnesium, some sodium. It's all. I like it, and it maintains its carbonation even when you screw the cap back on, and it's in a glass bottle. We all know things taste better when they come out of glass.
100%. 100%.
All right, guys. Today was a wonderful week. What do we got going on? What we got going on is me and Carlos are both wearing Investor Fuse shirts, but the co-founder of Investor Fuse decided not to wear one today. No, that's okay.
Mountains where the dreams of Investor Fuse
are. That is a crisp Investor Fuse shirt.
After 2 years of working with Investor Fuse almost, they finally decided I was worthy of one t-shirt.
We don't have t-shirts, so you should consider yourself special because I don't have that shirt that you're wearing. Carlos doesn't have that shirt you're wearing. That is our new shirt. I told
Rachel it was a good shirt. I told the person who sent it to me, I told her it was a good shirt. Now you guys should feel lucky because if anybody watches the show or follows me online, you know I wear the same outfit every single day. So I actually went out of my way today to not wear my Fresh Clean tee, which Fresh Clean tee, I'm not an affiliate, but they're excellent t-shirts. To find this one in my drawer, purposely set it out to wear it.
Well, we appreciate you wearing an Investor Fuse shirt. So let's talk real estate and stuff.
Tell you what,
I was gonna say, Papa P, man. I wanted to get a flip listing update, and just as a side note, if you're selling and marketing that thing like you do German mineral water, that thing is going to fly off the shelf.
It's going to fly. Listen, I don't need, I feel like sometimes you need to really, really press a property. This one, I just need people to see it, man. Like, it is such a phenomenal property. We had done such a great job on the design aspect of it. Finally, we got some showings. I told you guys last week, after getting professional photos up there and stuff, took it off the market, put it back on. We got some showings, and I got some decent feedback. No one had a problem with the price. Now, it's important to understand, and we'll get into this because we're talking about state of the market today, but just a little tidbit. We're all fucking spoiled. Before, you would wait 30 days on a regular listing, and this is 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19. I wasn't really a realtor per se. But that was the standard. You wait 30 days. You don't make any moves. You don't get nervous. 30 days goes by. Then you consider a price drop. I'm at like 23 days right now, and I'm nervous as fuck because I've been spoiled over the last 2 years. And I've had to remind myself, hey, listen, dial it back. The buyer will come and just wait. You shouldn't be making, unless you're financially strapped, you shouldn't be making drastic decisions in under 30 days. So we are going to drop it $25K. I was going to do it today, but then I said to myself, I need to abide by my own rules. I said 30 days. I'm going to do 30 days, and we have a showing tomorrow. They're looking at 3 properties, so hopefully that works out. But I wouldn't say I've had an abundance of activity like I've had on my lower price like my lower price listings for flips. Being at around the 400K mark, I'm above the average median price range. So it does, But I haven't dropped it, but we fully intend on, if this buyer doesn't do it, next Thursday, Friday is our 30-day mark. And I got approval from the partners. We talked about it we have a Monday meeting, and I talked to them about it. They're on board with it, and we'll kind of just wing it from there and just drop it. It's going to hurt. Trust me, it's going to hurt. 25K is a lot. Now, on another note, I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he was saying, and I don't have details. I'm waiting for the lender to send it. But now lenders are offering a rate buy-down program. And so I don't know the exact details. But, for example, let's say I'm going to take a 25K hit, maybe 30K hit, and drop the price.
Yeah.
Well, I can buy the rate down. We all know rates are somewhere around that 5% mark right now. They're saying that and I'm anxious to see the details, but they're saying that a seller can apply their property for a rate buy down program, effectively qualifying the property itself to be locked in at a lower rate for X price. I don't have details, so I don't know, because it wouldn't make sense if I have to buy it up front. Supposedly I get to pay for it at closing. Then when I find my buyer, they'll approve the buyer, and the buyer gets the rate that I preemptively applied for during this rate buy-down.
Oh, interesting. So that would like attract people to your property because you've
so then I can advertise this property with, if you apply with this lender, blah, blah, blah. I can let realtors know essentially, hey, listen, I don't know who your lender is, but I have a rate buy down with this lender at 3.5% or 4%. Again, I don't know the details. He hasn't sent it over yet. But if that costs me 12 grand, it's a lot better than dropping 25K. And if you think about the difference in price, right? So essentially, if my buyers can only afford 350, and dropping an extra 1.5 or 2 points gets them up to that 400 mark where I'm at, it would make sense for me to do that from a cost perspective. So I'm very eager to see what this is. And that also will go into my decision to lower the price next week. I don't know if anybody out there watching has any details on that, but I am anxious for this dude to send it over to me. I found that very really intriguing. Yeah.
Is it, I mean, I'm going to assume it would, like, the property has to get approved, and they're doing it on the basis of this property would have a good resale value of the seller.
I don't know, because mortgages, yeah, they deal with the property on an appraisal standpoint. I think it's just more about, I don't know, because when they say getting the property approved, I don't know what that means. I think I just got to apply and be willing to pay for it. But it's the buyer that still would need to qualify with this lender.
Right.
So I don't know how all that works. Again, I was just told this when I was talking about dropping my price. It was mentioned, and I said, yes, please send over the details. So I'm very eager to find out the details on it. And when I do, I will update you.
I'm excited for next week to hear about that.
In fact, I'm going to text the guy right now on the call and say, yo, where are the details on this?
If he calls, you pick it up live.
Pick it on speaker.
Well, yeah, I as well, John, I'm going to be very curious to hear that. A little mental insight. My morning reading today before starting the workday was Psycho-Cybernetics, and it was talking, I picked that book up, one of my favorites. But I was reading through a chapter a little bit on like response stimuli and how it's good to stay like even keel. So for you guys listening to this as real estate investors, you're going to have that situation like Papa P had where something's going to hit him that's going to kind of emotionally, I guess, trigger or affect him, to a lack of a better term. And that book was talking about some practical things to try to reel in your response and keep like your nervous system as straight as possible. For example, like counting to 10, doing some breaths, things like that. And the example of like what is actually happening is like the Pavlov's dog, where as soon as they would give them food right after the bell, and then they stopped giving food, they would do the bell, would still salivate. But that's the same kind of way humans are, even with like news that you have in the day or things going on, stress, good things. So it's always good to be mindful of that as you're going through your day there. The second thing I'll say on that subject, Papa P, love that you have the backup plans in place, potentially dropping the price, potentially this new program, which sounds super cool. But I'm not going to put that into the air yet to manifest that. I feel like we got a showing this weekend. Let's see if we can.
I got my fingers crossed, bro.
Yeah,
I got my fingers crossed.
I'm gonna hope we don't have to cross that path when we get to it.
Yeah, we just got to get back, get back to normal. We'll touch on the state of the market and what people should be doing and expecting in a little bit here. But Carlos, I know we were talking on Tuesday, and you said you were signing up for Bigger Pockets. Can you?
Yeah,
do that.
I'd love to wrap on that.
I don't even have an account on there. I don't have.
It's pretty cool. I'll show you when we touch base next week. I'll show you around. I still am building it out and linking like an Investor Fuse business profile, because I saw some other SaaS companies.
So what is it? Is it like LinkedIn? I mean, for anybody out there watching, I personally don't. I mean, I know I've heard of Bigger Pockets. I understand it's like some type of community, but like, what does an account? I don't understand. What's the purpose of signing up? Is it like a LinkedIn for thing? Is it like a Reddit? Like, what is it?
Yeah, a free one is kind of like a LinkedIn. The paid one gives you access to lease documents, I think, in all 50 states. The primary reason I got it was custom keyword alert setups. So pretty much anytime somebody mentions a CRM, Podio, InvestorFuse, I put some of the other CRM options in the marketplace.
Oh, so you're trolling.
I get a direct ping.
So you're trolling.
Are you familiar with the movie like Neighborhood Watch? I'm kind of doing it like that, except if the neighbor, I'm Big Brothering. Yep.
You're like the NSA right now. I got you.
Yeah. So I got my first one this morning, which is pretty cool. So I saw a little discussion of a guy talking about Podio versus Resimpli, FreedomSoft, and just got to kind of see some stuff in there. And I want to eventually inject myself into conversations there. But yeah, man, it's like a community, forums, podcasts, resources, rental calculators.
One of our listeners said, no, he's scouting. And I think that's a more generous term. Be Better Tomorrow said scouting. Yes, he's out there scouting and in putting himself in the middle of conversations. It's a gentler term than stalking or creeping or trolling. Yeah, I got you.
Well, I mean, in an ethical way, it's like I like to have the deepest possible pulse into what investors are doing from as many angles as possible. So if every single thing I'm dialed into, it'll be helpful. And people that talk to me, whether it's regarding InvestorFuse or whatever, I shoot them straight, mainly listen to their needs and point them in the best direction. So I'm excited to get bigger pockets.
But it could be pretty cool, though.
What's that?
You could use that for a lot of things, though, right? Not just scouting CRMs. Like if you have questions as a user, like if I got questions on some type of topic I need to understand, I can put that in as a keyword and find the proper thread. So it's kind of like a Reddit too, in a sense. You're saying where people are having conversations. It's a forum. I've just never personally used BiggerPockets before. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and I'm just getting into it. But yeah, they have community, company vendors, a lot of collaboration. So it's pretty cool. So I'm excited to get that ramping up. He may be watching, but the one dude that I mentioned last week, as we kind of talk, I know we're going to hit on like state of the market, disposition, stuff like that. But the dude that I was talking about last week, that was like a little bit gun shy to start PPC and Facebook ads, just from his buddies telling him that dispositions has been challenging. Touch base with him yesterday. He's going to fully launch Facebook ads and PPC going live September 1st, and should be signing up for InvestorFuse sometime before that, as soon as he gets login for like the Facebook account and whatever the PPC provider's doing for him. So that's also
he's using a PPC provider? Do you know who he's using?
Yeah, I don't. I know he's using Chris Chico for Facebook ads, but I'm not sure for PPC.
I hear he does a good job. Good job.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a good update, man. Leading into where are we at with state of the market, John? What's going on?
The market is stating lots of different things. I did a little research on this, trying to get some numbers, and there's conflicting numbers out there. I was chatting with somebody on our team, and they're like, "Well, the numbers are underreported," and
that's true.
Yeah, and you can't trust.
They're underreported, and the statistics can be widely misused and misrepresented. When you're looking at statistical numbers, it's all about the population or the sample size of the population and how you take it and measure it. They could be very manipulative to the data that you're trying to, inform people of.
Like if you look at unemployment went, lower. More jobs were added in July. But then you ask the question, are they accurately actually counting unemployment, and who's actually being counted as being unemployed? The number could be a lot higher. But I think a fun one and to kind of look into in terms of just the market trend is the credit card utilization. Went way up. It is going up. People are putting on more debt, taking out more credit cards. That's been a big factor to combat inflation pricing because salaries.
And where else are you getting the money from?
Right, because salaries aren't going up. But everything's costing more money. Gas is getting better, though. I've been enjoying gas prices lately.
No, I was reading that we have the most total usage accounts. So we're exceeding 500 million right now for credit cards, which is the most ever. And most of it is being led by Gen Z, 18 to 25-year-olds, because they're coming of age to be so. But and here's the catch: is a lot of these credit card that we've signed on, right? And there was like 233 million new personal type of loan or credit accounts opened up, short-term credit accounts opened up since 2008. But here's the thing. They're all subprime. So these people opening up these credit cards do not have the best overall credit score per se. So where are they putting their money? Well, or where are they getting their money? They're spending it on their credit cards, and that's the thing. But here's the thing. I was reading these articles, and they were like, that itself is not a warning sign.
Right. They're like, who cares if jobs are fine? I'm like, well,
yeah,
wait,
that's what I read too. Jobs are fine. And that's the thing is like, I don't see how jobs are fine because I keep seeing larger organizations talking about layoffs and stuff. But my concern is even on the real estate side of things for renters and stuff, it's becoming more and more expensive to pay rent. And the problem is like, so the number of people using 90% of their paycheck has increased 2 times, 90% of their paycheck to pay their monthly expenses, which includes rent. That means you have nothing left to live, lifestyle, or to save. You have 10% to do all of that on. That is 2 times X in the past year, from 17% to 34% of people essentially using 90% of their paycheck just to survive. That's crazy. Then I read this guy's, it was the most arrogant comment that I read. He goes, as long as they have jobs, the American people will find a way to get through the day to day. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, okay, dude, as you're sitting up in your ivory fucking tower, these people are over here panicking, playing credit card roulette. And listen, I don't know about anyone else, but I know credit card roulette, bro. Like, it's all too recent where you're over here trying to put a credit card in and just hoping it doesn't get declined. And that's what a lot of people are doing. And credit card usage just went up 7%. And guess what? Debit card usage down 3%. So what does that mean? People are swapping. Yeah, they're putting it all in credit. They're like, well, I don't really have any debit card money sitting in my bank, so I better use this Chase card or Citi card or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's a problem, man. It's a problem. You got to feel for the people doing that. And what's the solution? They just keep referring back to jobs. Jobs are good. Jobs are good.
Well, there's got to be correction, I think, at the end of it, right? I mean, prices, inflation. A part of inflation is like things you can't control, but another part of it is demand, right? So if people stop spending money, then demand goes down, and then prices can settle as well. So that's the interesting thing, though, the culture, right? Instead of just, well, to your point, though, like there are necessities to live, and that is certainly a problem that, people who are spending 90% on what you need to live and have nothing left.
Have nothing left.
Yeah.
What about the people who spend more than they even make, right? And I'm not saying...
And they might be in debt.
Yeah, being in true debt. And our guy over here, Be Better Tomorrow, said barely getting by. Credit card debt is painful. Trust me, man. Credit card debt is painful. I don't know. When I started out, I was $60K in debt on credit card back in the day when I started in real estate. I was negative money. Took me forever to dig. Well, actually, it didn't take me forever. I made a shit ton of money in real estate and paid that off. But it was still very painful working a 9 to 5. But they say that the number of people spending more than their weekly or their monthly paycheck on their living expenses, right, has increased from 6 to 11%. That means we now have 11% of people spending more than they make. And where do you think that money is going? On credit cards, on short-term loans, things that they're taking out. And then 1 in 6 Americans saw their credit scores decline year over year. So, I mean, it's just going to become a problem. 90%. Yeah, 90% of your paycheck. Hey, Jay, what's going on, brother? 90% of your paycheck's getting spent, man. And that's the problem. Late payments are up 50%.
Yep.
But again,
delinquencies are going up. Yep.
John, it's okay, though, as long as they have a job. And that's true. Okay. It's like kicking the can down the road. And I've been there personally. I made my credit card debt stretch out, and then I'd apply for more. So as long as credit is readily available, the guy is right. That arrogant guy's right. American people will find a way to survive the day-to-day. They will apply for a credit card. They will play credit card roulette. They will find a way to do it. Maybe they wait, and here's the best part. I used to do taxes for a living for the lower income people. They wait for that tax return money, and then they feel all good. They get 5-6K back, pay off some debt, and they start that train all over again until the economy gets better.
Mm-hmm. Then they throw some Bitcoin. They see what happens.
Yeah, I was at a thing I do, turtle surveying a couple weeks ago, and one of the guys that is there is a high school teacher, and he said, one of the classes that I feel should come back is Honmak, because it teaches people to balance checkbooks, to do laundry, do dishes, and he's like, the youth of today, the basic skills that they don't have. And just like being an old student, I was like, we bring in interns for our program, and I have to go over and be like a mama cub, teach them how to clean a toilet. But like, I feel like that basic, trend can spread or like move into like
schools. Our schools aren't going to do that though. There's a guy on YouTube. Fuck, I forget his YouTube handle. He's like something. It's like a dad channel. All the things you wish your dad would have taught you because he doesn't have a dad. So he created like how to do all these things, and it's like some channel about like things dad would have taught me, and like that's good. But I mean, my wife knows, and she's not proud of this. I solve all my problems by ignoring what our bank account says, and every time she complains about something, we're spending too much money, I say, I just recite Grant Cardone. We don't have an expense problem, honey. We have an income problem. We need to make even more money to buy that or do that. Let's just find a way to make more money. What other properties can we buy, or what other business can we do? That apparently doesn't fly in my household, but it flies inside my mind. In my mind, that is a valid thing. I say, Grant Cardone, bro.
Well, to your credit, though, you are a different human being than most of the people that are probably having credit card debt. I didn't have that choice when I was 9 to 5. When I worked at Hughes back in the day, I was stuck. I was making good money. I was making over $50K a year. Back then, that was pretty decent for someone out of college. And I was just in debt, man. And there was no way around it. I mean, that's ultimately what made my decision to get into real estate. And talk about savings. I couldn't save. Yeah. There was no way to save. And that's the thing too, is the savings rate went down. It got chopped 2/3. Savings rate on average before like the whole, during the pandemic and before that was like, they were ranging somewhere in the 20 to 30% range. Now they're ranging between 7 and 9%. And that's how much people are saving. I mean, people don't even have that ability to save anymore. And what does that mean? Well, then they can't do awesome shit. If you can't save, then you can't invest. And then you can't buy real estate. And we all know that's the best way to wealth. So yeah, I think it is a greater problem for the real estate market, because just like anything else, Robert, short sleeves, love it. I'm wearing some short sleeves right now, bro.
Bob Sleeves, my guy.
But if it is, that's a fucking awesome last name.
I wear my sleeves by House shirt.
Last name.
God, that's a fucking epic last name. But yeah, I mean, here you go, and you're sitting here saying, well, the housing market's going to be okay. It only will be okay if people continue to buy, and people can only continue to buy if they're making money. So I go back to that guy's comment. As long as people have jobs, it'll be okay. So what the fuck happens when people start laying people off?
Yep. And then the government will come out with a way for people to buy first-time homes, and the problem just keeps getting kicked down the road.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is it's almost like I'm not trying to get political, but that's exactly what happened when the government decided to institute the stimulus. How do we fight the problem with people not having money? Let's give them more money. Oh, wait, things are too expensive. What should we do? Let's raise interest rates and make it even more expensive. That'll really fuck them up. Oh, genius idea, guys. Genius idea. But, all told, though, I saw this report, though, for housing that Realtor.com was coming out, and they were actually, given the state of the market, they were saying that housing, they increased their estimate from, I think it was 2.2% to to now 6.7%, 6.6% price increase for 2022.
They're saying that prices are still on the rise.
Yeah, so there's a whole mathematical formula for given if they say that if interest rates go up by a percent, it declines house price increase by between 4 and 6%.
Yeah.
So if we're making gains of 11% and interest rates go up 1%, we're effectively now only going to see a raise of about 7%. So because rates settle back down below 5% now, they're saying they're re-estimating their appreciation in prices for 2022.
Super interesting. Like what?
Oh yeah. And you want to know who the biggest buyers are?
Yes, I do want to know that. I have heard the rumblings from the Dispo, which we'll talk about. That
Millennials.
Millennials, my crowd.
The younger millennials, right? Not necessarily as old as me. I'm like on the very, and then the Gen Z people between the ages in their 20s and 30s. They're the biggest ones, especially because of work from home. And the problem is they're first-time home buyers, and so
using the first-time home buyer like loans and stuff.
I would imagine. I mean, I didn't read into that. But it all stems on the fact that they have the income to do it because, again, they're saying jobs are okay, which I don't believe with. I don't believe that jobs are okay.
Very intriguing.
It is. You guys have me pulling up realtor.com just to look at some listings here. Just for curiosity of it. But yeah, it
just depends on the market where you're in, but they're saying inventory is going up 15% is their estimate. And then we're also seeing sales decline. So that's also the thing, right? As sales decline and inventory goes up, you know what I mean? That all affects it. But still, it's still pretty good news. I read, that's what it was. Mortgage rates. Somebody had posted that mortgage rates were at their all-time lowest since like 2008, which is true. But you also, with statistical numbers, you have to be careful about the refinances because refinance applications have dropped to like 70% year over year. Obviously, right?
Doesn't that make sense though? Because the interest rates are up. They're like, why would I remember a lot of people doing that in COVID when they were like down to 3%.
But the key is when you're reading this, man, is like so a lot of times, because that's still like an app, there's mortgage purchase apps and then mortgage refi apps. But when you just see the word mortgage applications and they don't actually split that apart, you can make the situation seem a lot worse than it actually is by saying, oh my God, mortgage apps in total have declined the lowest since whenever. Well, yeah, because again, they're manipulating the data that they're showing people. Overall, what I got from all of this, and I just, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here. What I got from all of this is what I've been saying forever. We're not going to see a crash. We are just getting back to reality. Back to life, back to reality. Everyone remember that song back in the day? That's right. That's all we're doing. We're getting back to reality of things, and we're not going to see 20, 30% price increases in properties. You're not going to get lucky as a flipper. And we're going back to standard normal market timing. 6 months, they say 6 months of inventory is considered a healthy market. And recently we've nowhere near that. And we're trying to get back to that. Houses are going to sit over 30 days on a market, 45 days. That's normal to happen. But as a result, we're going to see lower price appreciation, but still see that appreciation. Because inventory is still overall a problem. And I heard that builders are going to stop right now. A lot of builders are stopping new construction.
Oh, good.
Some of the bigger ones, they're finishing off their houses and stopping. So again, we're going to have some inventory problem, which is going to help the price appreciation. As long as the demand is there, we're still there. So I go back to it, John, my man on that article. As long as America has jobs, they'll figure out how to get through the day to day.
I think there's a deeper fundamental problem there, but this is not the time nor the place.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at on state of the market for housing and credit usage. I do think we're going to see some issues with the credit card usage in the future. I think America is going to have a problem. So as long as we don't have job problems, and I agree with the guy, if we do have job problems, we're all fucked.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when you see a market crash. If you see people losing their jobs, they can't pay their debt. And I read that credit card defaults, not paying, and they define that as 60 days late is how they start defining defaults on credit cards, up 50%. So,
wow.
You know.
Intriguing. Well, it has been fun to be on a podcast talking weekly as we've gone through, like, we started this podcast. We're on episode 22 right now. So 22 weeks ago? For this to all kind of keep happening. Right. So it's kind of fun to keep coming back to this conversation and seeing how things change. So stay tuned for more updates on the state of the market as life goes on here inside of real estate investing. But go ahead.
No, I was just going to lead into talking about how you can adapt in this.
I like it. That was going to be my transition as well.
Oh, I stole your transition, bro. I bet if you had the investor fuse shirt on, that would have never happened.
True.
That's
I
true.
would have given you the superpower to just keep talking and cut me off. That's why I'm doing it, because I'm wearing this shirt. I have increased confidence with my brand new shirt. Making me look.
Dude, all that mineral water, your brain is probably just like on fire right now.
I'm just flowing in it, bro. I got so much water. I'm just juiced. It's like the real adult drink. You know what I mean? Back in the day, you would think coffee and alcohol really was like the adult drink. Real flex, drinking water, baby.
Really is.
Something as a kid you would never do. You're like, oh fuck, give me a soda, give me a high C or a Capri Sun. Now I'm just over here chugging water like it's my job. I get excited. No, but I was talking to somebody when they were talking about data. We were just talking about the types of data going into this market. And I think, we all have to be cognizant of being able to niche down in the type of data that we're going after. And, back in the day, I used to buy 60, 90-day lates, credit lates.
Yeah.
But I never really got much off of it. So I stopped buying it because I was buying those things back in 2017, 2018. My man, Robert Short Sleeves loves Investor Fuse. Bro, I got a short sleeve Investor Fuse shirt. We're going to have to get you one.
Love that.
But, and I never understood why I didn't get any leads, from that. And I was getting more leads from absentee owners and stuff because, again, people weren't in a lot of pain. And I was thinking late payments. You can niche down on credit scores, especially seeing people's credit scores decline and credit usage. A lot of, depending on where you get your data from, you can niche down on those things. Foreclosures, although aren't really happening at like an exorbitant amount or rate, it's still something you can niche on. And I see tax delinquents being something that people need to be really paying attention. And I know a lot of people were already doing this. But for people that weren't and were focusing on high equity and mixing high equity in with other types of lists to stack them, I mean, I call them pain versus motivation. I define them as like motivating factors as like absentee or vacants, but pain lists to me are like the foreclosure, the tax delinquents, the late payments, credit scores, stuff like that. And I see that as being something that they could really start to narrow in on. And that's what I'm doing right now.
As long as there's still high equity in those.
As long as there's, and that's the thing, right? It just depends.
Buy smart.
Buying smart, bro.
All right. Well, I think it's kind of fun to talk about. I mean, buying smart is a key part of the strategy that's going to be around, right? Like I was talking to my wife about this earlier, and saying, "Hey, it's intriguing that blah blah blah." My point being, we saw a lot of people enter the market that would find a deal with small margins, and then they could still turn it around because you could go with the line that in 20, 30 days, your ARV will be way higher because the price is just appreciating in all these properties. But that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. So buying smart, we've talked about since the beginning of the show, and we've really harped on it in the last couple of weeks that you've got to have your numbers make sense in order for you to be able to sell your property, just like you have in your flip. It hasn't moved yet. You've got some interest in it, but you bought it smart and you have room, to wiggle on that because you're not sitting there, trying to just wean out 5K from the deal. But I think a lot of what people are talking about lately now is, dispo. I've got deals, and let's just say that you've got good deals, that the numbers do make sense even in this kind of market. That they still are kind of having to pivot dispo strategies. That what was working 6 months ago isn't working anymore today. What have you guys been hearing about that?
I'll pop in that and then throw it to Papa P. Some similarities from last week. A lot of it, and I kind of feel like this is the world as a whole, is in general more collaboration, going deeper with your buyers, almost re-engaging whatever buyer database that you have, re-engaging them, finding out exactly what they're looking for, what they're buying, if they're buying, why or why not they're buying, getting more like qualitative, feedback, understanding, even the people that you're following up with, knowing their, maybe not at this extent, but an example like dog's name, things like that. You kind of want to have that level.
No, I laugh, but that's the shit real salesmen do, man. That's it. It's like I call it the Michael J. Scott method. You write down dog's name, kid's name, birthdays, fun things about them. People don't do that anymore. Sorry to interrupt. Just keep.
No, bro, you're good. And I've always been. John knows, like me, going over sales stuff, like pronouncing somebody's name correctly, like is just huge for me. So like even Brandin's name, I was calling him Peterson at first, and I was like, shit, I need to make sure I'm saying Pedersen. Like I didn't even think that was a thing, but that type of stuff. So I would say in general, as far as strategies, not really a pivot, but for me, kind of how like my operating system and personality style, I think it's a good time to double and triple down on manually touching your buyers. Start at the top, make sure you're fully up to date with them, take them, if you're local, take them out, see what's going on, see what you could help with, see if you could find them different type of properties. Take them out. Papa P's talking about a new product here he might do on one of his listings to help him on cost potentially. But yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing is just like more qualitative conversations with your buyers to the level of like dog's name, things like that. I'd throw it over to Papa P for more, because I mean, you know your buyers. You can pull up cash transactions on whatever type of tool that you're using, whether you have MLS Access or PropStream or whatever have you. But I think that there is, some more time that you can spend on that and emphasize on that.
Well, listen, I'd like to break it down into two things. I call it, and I'm making this up right now, I call it the idiot way of succeeding at dispo, and then the salesman way of succeeding at dispo. Idiot way, just buy it fucking cheaper. Okay, I've talked to many guys in the industry, and we're all doing the same thing. I've trained my team. Like I talked to them about it again this morning in our morning meeting. I'm not offering 84%, 85% of ARV anymore. We need to get back to the 70%. And sadly, we all fought to make the least amount of money. And by us, I mean not just wholesalers, but in the end, the flippers were a cause of it too, because they're all racing for that 5, 10K, just enough to, if I do enough deals and I make 20K or 10K on each one, it works for them until something bad happens. And so I see a lot of my buyers are still buying. It's just, albeit at better pricing. And even though you have a deal, it was a deal under yesterday's terms, you getting that pie in the sky number isn't going to happen. You need to be realistic. Do you price it 10, 20% underneath ARV of what it is today in the anticipation that we're going to settle a little bit? Again, I don't see a crash. We talked about it last week, and the guy was asking, isn't that a definition of a crash if it comes down that much? And it's just settling again. So I think, again, we got to go back to that 70%. And if you do that, you'll be able to move the deals. Now, the other thing is, man, I think on the salesman side of things, you're right. I think softwares like InvestorLift are severely outdated of the way you need to actually sell a deal. Relying on a software and an email platform. I will just say, I have almost successfully fucking spammed every InvestorLift over the past week email I've gotten because they had gotten so fucking annoying. And they're the same shitty deals from 5 different people sending them out. And it's the same guy sending out. And they always say new deal on it. Bruh, I saw this last week. It's not a new fucking deal. So to me, that's already a lie. Like you're already trying to trick me because you keep sending me the same email with the name new deal on it when it's not a new fucking deal. I believe you should pick up the phone. Pick up the phone, talk to your guy. The Michael J. Scott method, I say that because in the office he had like the little Rolodex card and he would write on the back. And ultimately, everyone thinks he's an idiot, but when he sits down with the seller or a buyer, in that case, buyer of paper, he would talk to them personally and they would wind up using him and he would one up the guy he was going against because he was empathetic. He listened to them and made them feel good about themselves because he knew them. And then little things. And I talked to a guy and they treated me like a fucking idiot. I talked to a guy about pushing a deal and there was tenants inside. Now, my office, we offer services to our buyers. And I'm not a big dispo guy. I buy some of my deals locally, but we do push some of our deals and I outsource other dispo in other states. But like when we dispo, we help you. And that's the thing is why I could sell a deal to one of my buyers that you can't. So like if you have tenants inside, no problem, man. If I get paid my fee, like I get my assignment fee and I'm making 20, 30K off you and you need help getting somebody out of a property on an eviction, say no more. I got you covered. And so now my buyers know that I stand behind my word. And so the problem is I was talking to someone about this, like, I don't really want to offer that. That's a lot of work. If I don't have to offer it. And I think that's shitty salesmanship because you don't need to offer anything. But the difference between a good salesman and a bad one is somebody who offers to solve a problem to make the sale. So if you have a problem with keeping the tenant because you don't have the time to deal with an eviction, and I'm going to make 20, 30K off you, say no more. All I need is signatures from you. Obviously, you got to pay for the eviction. That's part of why I'm selling it to you at this price and blah, blah, blah. I'll go out there. I'll go knock on a door and post a sign for you so you don't have to, or someone from your office doesn't have to stop making you money. I'll send one of my guys out. I'll pay a runner to do it. Doesn't matter. But the fact is my buyers know. So I have successfully, we call it, I forget who I stole this from. Somebody said to come up with names of programs. So like we have different programs like the stay after you sell program, the tenant program.
I like that programs.
And so we just call them programs. So we have these programs where you buy a home from us and you have a problem. I will help you with that and I will get the tenants out. So we've been able to sell more deals. I got a guy who took one on a 6-month postdoc. I got a guy who took one on a 1-month postdoc. Postdocs are no problem to us with our core buyers. Now it's a little harder sell on other like newbie buyers because they don't know us and they don't trust us. But you do a deal with me and you see that I follow my word, I can now sell you other hard to sell deals that are good price deals. But a lot of buyers are saying no because, well, I don't want to deal with an eviction. I don't want to deal with a tenant who's not paying. I don't want to deal with squatters. I don't want to deal with all that. So we deal with it. I mean, I'll go get trash if I have to. I'll hire a dumpster and a crew. I'll get my demo crew out there and they'll take the trash out if that's a problem for you. And so I think it's going back to being a salesman of finding out what their problem is, solving it, and selling them the deal at a good price. Whereas we were so used, and I'm ranting here, but we were so used to just, hey, Carlos, you want this deal? Click a button, make an offer. Oh, we got multiple offers. You bid on it. Sorry, man. Maybe I'll get you on the next one. And you treat your buyers like shit, like they're a commodity. And then times change. You will be treated like a commodity. So that's my pitch on what I think you need to do.
100%. I mean, I think building a relationship, grabbing that information and putting them in your Rolodex, whatever, of who they are, their dog's name and stuff is great and all. But I think what you're suggesting here goes above and beyond that. And, you said it earlier about how long your list is on the market. We got spoiled for 2 years, 3 years with, how we need to behave in this with just everybody in the industry. And it definitely is returning back to those that can build the best relationships, because return buyers are going to be super important. When it comes down to the fact that money is hard to get, then it's going to be people that have the money and want to keep, spending their money and keep either adding to their portfolio or flipping. You've got to be able to be the one they're like, yes, I'll take this deal from him. I know his numbers are correct. I know he stands by his words. I'm literally just repeating what you said here, but I'm to the point of
I'm with that, man. But that's the thing, doing things. I was talking to a buddy of mine, Carlos, not this Carlos, but another Carlos I know. he used to work for a company and he wasn't allowed to do certain things for buyers. Now he's his own dispo guy now, runs a little dispo organization, phenomenal, ethical guy. And he was saying how and I was agreeing with him because we were joking around. And I've done deals where I make zero money, but I've still helped a seller and a buyer get a deal. Now, there's someone that I was currently working with, and I mentioned that, and apparently that's sacrilege. That's a non-fucking thing to even talk about. Oh, we got to renegotiate. I'm like, but you got to think about it. If I have it at a price, let's say I got it at 100K, and then the buyer's like, I'll pay 100K. Fine, I'll sign the guy up. If I successfully renegotiate, cool, I make money. If I don't, two people still win. And then I win because then the guy finds out I didn't make anything and I'm like, hey, bro, I was just helping you get a deal. I wasn't able to renegotiate. But they didn't want that to happen. And they don't. I mean, a lot of guys don't work that way. And I think little things like that, going above and beyond. I've made $0. There was one where I made $0. The guy, it was way back in the day, and he was happy that I helped him, and he gave me $500. And you know what? He's bought so many fucking deals from me. But when they see those things happen, that's how you build relationships. And I think a lot of these larger organizations don't take time to build relationships. And Investor Lift is one of the main culprits of that, because all they sales pitch you on is send it out to as many buyers. So the key thing, guys, if you're ever out there JVing, one thing I always like to know is not who has the most buyers, who has the best buyer relationships. That's a tip. Find out who has the best relationships with their buyers, not who has the most, because you can have the most and still fail at deals. Because everyone will tell you they got the most buyers, and that just means they paid $60K for Investor Lift's cartel mode, and they got 3 million buyers like the other couple hundred of them, and that means jack shit in the end. When it comes down to actually selling. I mean, obviously it's a powerful tool, but when it comes to selling a deal, it doesn't mean shit. You still got to be able to help your buyers out and give them what they need.
I think it's interesting when we look at bigger organizations, like bigger wholesaler companies. Brandin, you're still kind of, I don't want to say in that small level because you have a team, but you're in that level where would you say that you're the one still mostly dealing with the buyers?
Me personally?
Yeah.
No, I only deal with buyers that are I'm going to say my friends. I mean, I'm not going to hand off, there's probably 3 or 4 in my hometown that I won't hand off no matter what business I'm, even with REI Op Center. Bro, I'll run that software with you, but if one of my buyers needs help, I mean, it's just a lifelong relationship. And guess what? I do deals with them. They'll give me $100,000 and I don't have to sign shit because we do deal together. Hey man, you don't want to buy this for your company? Do you want to do it with me instead? Yeah, cool. How much money do you need? And that's the thing, that's that relationship I've built over 13 years. So yeah, I'm always going to deal with that. Also with JVing, now sometimes I don't deal with every single partner with JV, but if I personally know you and your company and we have a talk about working together, I'm going to step in. That's just who I am. And I get enjoyment out of that.
Yeah.
And you probably have some riffs or stories of wholesalers or buyers, or I guess end buyers maybe going around wholesalers or other stuff like that I've heard so many stories of.
I got one, but I'm gonna make you wait till Pulse of the Week, man, because I got something that happened this week, and I'm gonna make you wait for it. I know what you're inching at here, because I gave you a little taste of it earlier in the chat, and I said, here's something I want to talk about, and you're trying to get it out of me, and I'm gonna make you wait till we're at Pulse.
I want to keep you on your toes. I wanted to keep you on your toes to see that.
Never let them know your next move.
Yeah, the relationship thing is interesting because we're talking about buyers, and a lot of people are saying it's officially a buyer's market now and everything like that. Everybody on social media and talking and stuff. But I've heard, and I can't recall who, but it's definitely people that I think super highly of during this whole COVID thing are saying that in general, just all your relationships in business and in life, this is a good time to double down on it. Just people were at home more.
Relationships.
Yeah. It's one of the biggest, the best investments you could make. Not even a monetary, but just your attention and focus on it.
But again, it's not just, when you say relationships, it's not just being Michael J. Scott and knowing their dog and all that. You have to be willing to do for them what other salespeople won't. And that goes back to, will you make $0 on a deal to get somebody a deal, even though, maybe you wish you could just say no and say, fuck it. Bye. If I don't make money, no one does. Or have you ever let a buyer out of a deal? Like they're signed a contract and then your buyer regrets signing it. I have. I mean, I had a guy make a obviously non-contingent offer. And then we went in the property and it was worse than I thought. And the guy was like, listen, I'll buy it because I gave you my word. But do you really need me to buy this? And yeah, I needed the fucking money. But I was like, listen, man, I'm not going to force you to buy something that you don't need. And that's it. I let him out of the contract. I wasn't going to argue with him. I didn't take his deposit. I didn't try to exert my alphaness of the deal on him or anything. It was just like, bro, like, I get it, man. Like, this is shit. You might lose money on it. And I don't want you to lose money because if you lose money, that hurts my business.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
You're
like
investing in your buyers.
For people.
You're investing in your buyers to have success on whatever inventory you send their way.
And I think a lot of people lost that, man. Like, and as you become a bigger company, and it goes to the TC thing as well. Like I was talking in our company and we were talking about TCs and we were talking about bigger organizations. And like, I don't see how some of these like when we JV, I make our TC take charge of it because my TC is phenomenal. Why? Because I don't do as many deals as you. And I'm not trying to act like I'm not the biggest wholesaler and I don't want to be. I like our communication and our personal touch on things. But when you're pushing 50, 60 deals a month and you have 1 or 2 TC people, there is no way you have a personal salesman touch because a TC is a salesman in the end too. They may not be a price salesman or a money salesman, but they're a relationship salesperson. And if you have one TC handling 30 deals a month, there is no way that TC is properly touching, relating to, updating, and communicating with the sellers the way they need to be to make sure your reputation and your business runs smoothly and confidently. Is it possible to do it with automations? Yeah, but again, personal relationships, personal touching, actual building of rapport, because TCs have to build rapport too, you know? And if you're just sending automated, I know this one TC company that we have to JV with, and it's like I swear to God, they send automated emails. It's like they don't even pay attention to what's in the other emails. And then the automated emails come through and it's like, weren't you reading like the other 3 emails? Like this, what the fuck are you talking about? And I guarantee they're inside a Podio system just pushing out the button and says, oh, I'm at this stage, at this day, I need to push this at this day. And that's how they deal with it. And again, I may not do as many deals as them, but I feel like as the market shifts, the people who have the good relationships, I think that's going to be the big tell.
So, I mean,
TC
I think
too.
Yeah. You know, I think we've given a lot of advice for people, like how to smooth this. Relationships are important. But, you know, I'm sure there's going to be a viewer out there who's like, well, I just got started a year ago, or, you know, I'm just getting ready to start. Like, what are some of the things, the practices that I can be doing to make sure that I start to build those relationships from the get-go? Because, I mean, you've got the 13 years of incredible situations.
Fuck, I love that question. Because that's a huge question. As a newbie, what do I do for my buyers, right?
Yeah.
As a newbie, what do I do for my buyers for them to love me, for them to buy deals? Hustle. Do whatever it takes. Go out and take photos for them. I see so many wholesalers pushing over 10 photos. Guess what, man? Go make videos. Don't hire someone. Go out there yourself. You're in the middle of title process on a mobile home, and they need a HUD plate or VIN numbers or serial numbers. Don't make your guy go out and do it. You go out and do it, right? Your guy can't go to a showing, no problem. Go for him. You know what I mean? Like, do the things that need to be done. Go post notices for tenants on bad properties. Go help find things for people. And that'll go a long way with a buyer, because what they'll do ultimately is they'll see that you're hungry, and then this is the best thing. It could be the best compliment you could ever get as a newbie. They'll see you as a younger version of themselves. And once you have that locked down, for anybody who's successful in business, if they see you as a younger, hungry version of themselves, they'll help you out in anything, because in their mind, you've earned it, and you remind them of them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing that you can do, especially, and I'm not old. I mean, I'm only fucking like 38 years old, but still, even now I look for younger people, and I won't even work with some of them because I think they're fucking lazy. You know, but you see someone who's hustling, you're like, I want to help that person. I want to get him deals. And I know a guy who I was talking to, and he was like, he's working with this young wholesaler, and he told me, he's like, Brandon, he reminds me of you when you were young. And I was like, hey, I'm not that fucking old. Okay. But I've known the guy for like since I started real estate. So, and I used to hustle for him too back in the day when I was a realtor. And like when he said that, and he's like helping this guy along, like he's talking to him, teaching him stuff, giving him advice, and that's what you want as a newbie, right? And then if you're honest, you're ethical, and you're moral, and you're always up front with your buyers or whoever that person is, you have a relationship for life.
I love that. You mentioned that. I was going to say you mentioned that a few examples that may be the same guy, but that's huge. That's a great way of saying it or like explaining it. When you have the relationship equity to a certain point, it's almost like they want to see you succeed equal or more than you do. Like they are like happy to get you paid. And if you can build that and compound it, got a lot of power behind you. A lot of good stuff going on.
Cuban? Was it Cubes? Somebody said that. I was watching a podcast and somebody said that the successful people, wealthy, successful people love to help out younger versions of themselves.
Sounds like a Cubes.
I forget who it was. Don't quote me on that. And it was deeper. They went deeper into it, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I mean, and I think, Will Brown is a great example from that. Probably the only one I've encountered. But just like somebody who's super passionate and excited about a piece of technology solving a problem. And he's doing it right. He's got a team of developers. He's found some good people that understand technology to build a product for him. But I was like, I could relate to that drive and feel it from him as opposed to somebody that you could talk to and you're just like, no. You can't relate. You're immediately doubtful. But that's some great.
Maybe you're wrong. Maybe they wind up succeeding, but you just don't want to touch them. You're like, maybe I'm going to be wrong about this, but I just don't feel like, I don't feel like you got what it takes. And you just step back because they don't remind you of them or of you.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm with you on that.
So if you're new to wholesaling and you're like, man, things are changing. What do I do? Buy good deals, 70% ARV or lower. And build relationships, go above and beyond all the time, and hustle for your buyers.
God, I used to do so much free shit for people when I was in my 20s.
Same here. That's how I got my start. I did so much free shit.
Free shit, dude. Worked. Free shit.
Well, I'm here. I've told my kids this. I tell anybody that asks me, like, how did I get started? I said I did shit for free. And I didn't complain.
And you don't complain. It's a different world, man, because nowadays we didn't have Zelle and PayPal and all this shit. Now people are like, you want that? Here's my PayPal link, $500. You want me to talk to you? $500. And it's not how I grew up. It was like you did shit for free, bro. You paid your fucking dues, and it paid off. And it doesn't always work that way for everybody, but
No. But hey, you get experience every single freaking time.
Well worth it.
Worth it. Well, let's see. I think
we're at Pulse of the Week.
I think we're at Pulse of the Week. I would agree with that. And, minus the fact that there's a giant rocket at Kennedy Space Center and the DeLorean is maybe coming back. We couldn't
Alpha
think
5,
of it.
baby. The DeLorean was unveiled. I think it was on Wednesday. Looks sexy as shit.
I'm going to check it out after this. But those are the two topics that we had coming into this. And then I think Brandon found a nice, interesting story that Carlos is frothing at the mouth to hear about. So lay it down to us.
Foaming
I
at the
don't know
mouth.
who this person is.
Ruling.
But I feel like we should have a section called "You're a Piece of Shit." Sergio Collins, you're a piece of shit. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he's like, "Hey, man, do you know this guy named Sergio Collins?" And I know a lot of people in the industry, especially locally. And I was like, never heard of him. I couldn't find the guy online either in any of the communities. You know what I mean? We're all a part of the Facebook groups now. I couldn't find him. And I was like, man, I got no idea who this guy is. Anyway, he was telling me the story of how he's buying a deal from another wholesaler. And everyone's happy with the numbers, yada, yada, yada. And the guy called him and said, hey, can we close earlier? I just found out this guy's getting foreclosed on at the end of the month. You're scheduled to close him in September, yada, yada, yada. Can we get closed sooner? And so he's like, yeah, no problem. Whatever. Well, apparently, what was happening. And I don't know the exact dates, but I think the guy's getting foreclosed on like the 28th or something, whatever that last Friday of the month is. And like, you have to, on a foreclosure, you need to close. Typically, you don't even want to close the day of. You need to close a couple of days before to make sure that the funds get there. Everyone's notified, so the foreclosure is stopped. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, they're ready for closing. They got title, all that stuff. Well, I guess a guy named Sergio Collins called the seller, and the seller, because the seller knew the wholesaler and likes him and is comfortable with him. And I don't know the relationship. Either way, boom. So the seller, like not like most sellers, told the guy that, hey, I already have this under contract with somebody. And I'm making the numbers up, and the guy's like, what price do you have? And he's like, 120. And he's like, don't worry, I'll pay you 10K more. And the guy's like, well, I'm already under contract. Don't worry about that. So the guy keeps telling him to sign with him, that he'll pay him an extra blank amount of money. Don't worry about it. I'll pay you 10K more. So the seller called the wholesaler and was like, hey, listen, like, you know, I like you and everything, but this is a lot of money for me. You know, I'm going to need you to do this. Otherwise, I got to go with this guy. And the guy's, he's giving him the pitch we all do. How do you know that guy's realistic? That guy's never going to close you by the time you need it. You're going to get foreclosed on. I'm guaranteeing you a close. I can't pay you that much more. And rightfully so, the guy shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
Right? And this is morally and ethically, this guy's a piece of shit. You shouldn't be doing that. One, you're fucking with the seller's head. Okay? That's why wholesalers get a bad name. Two, there's no effing way you're running title, getting the mortgage payoff, and getting everything handled for foreclosure with 12 or 14 days left in the month. Not happening. So for you to say that you could take care of him, that's another lie. You know what I mean? And so I guess the guy called the buyer, my buddy, and was like, do you know this person? Here's what's happening. How soon can you close so we could get this done? So I guess after he talked to the seller and said he wasn't going to pay anything, he got the guy's name and number. And I thought about, and I have it too, and I thought about putting it up here so other people could call him and tell him he's a piece of shit, but I figured that's probably going too far. And he called him, and I don't know exactly what was said, but he told my buddy that he basically told him to like step off, he's under contract. I don't know what you're trying to do. All the typical stuff that you would say to a competitor who's trying to make your deal. And so I guess it ended decently. Well, then the seller called the wholesaler back and was like, the guy is now proceeding to harass him via text message and like voicemail and like phone calls saying, sign with me, I'll give you 10K, I'll sign, whatever it takes, I'll get you this money, sign with me. The guy just won't effing quit. And in the end, I'm sure, I don't know, it's obviously the closing hasn't happened. I'm sure that the original wholesaler will get the deal closed. I'm sure my buddy will get a new flip, and I'm sure the seller will get helped out and avoid foreclosure. Very few times as wholesalers do we actually really help people in these situations. And it's nice knowing when we do stop a foreclosure or something, right?
Yeah,
and that's
for sure.
Really what we feel good about. But for this other wholesaler, man, like complete piece, like just, and I don't know whether he's new, but damn, is he desperate. Like, and so I actually wrote like a new part of my script and I gave it to my team based on that conversation about how to deal with desperate people. And I was like, wow, it sounds pretty desperate. Do you usually work with desperate people? Do you find that desperate people keep their word, and kind of planting those seeds? And that's all you can really do in that instance, because a lot of times we're getting snaked prior to the signing of a deal, where someone, and it happened to me a few times the other week, I'm at this price and the guy goes, I'll pay 15K more. And it's always a round number. I'll pay 15, I'll pay 10, I'll pay 5 more. But how desperate do you have to be to do that? I just don't agree with it, and we don't do that in our business. Like even right now, we're chasing a deal that is signed, and the buyer has ghosted the seller, and we're just waiting.
Was this the one you were talking about last week that you told your guy an eye on?
Yeah, that was the one I got sent. And so the buyer, they're buying a house in Georgia on the 26th, and they needed this money. The buyer that beat us by 15K, I didn't know I said it on the thing, has now ghosted them, is not responding, and I got an update today from my acquisition rep, and I was like, how's it going on that property? And he's like, she wants to wait for him in hopes, because she's done this far. And I'm like, has they talked to the buyer? And he's like, no, the buyer is still ghosting them. But the title company says that they're set up for closing, but they need more time now. So now instead of closing what was supposed to be today, their contract is, I think, next week, that they're getting an extension until like the first week of September. And this lady's waiting and doesn't want to do anything with us until eventually they just don't close. So we're just patient. I'm not trying to snake it. In fact, I'm not even offering more money. In fact, I told my guy to offer less than we had originally offered because they should have went with us to begin with. And hey, the market has changed.
Yeah.
And I'm still willing to pay what we offered before. Don't tell them that. You know what I mean? Like, we always got to try to go for that extra little bit. But yeah, and so I think that's unethical too. It's like now they've ghosted this seller, and she's worried that the home won't be available then for her to buy, and she could lose that home up there, and they'll have to find another one.
Come on.
I forgot I told you guys that story.
Putting people in stressful situations.
I feel like there should be a BBB for wholesalers.
I mean, I'm sure, and that goes into the whole licensing thing, and I'm a fan of it. I don't really care. I just think a lot of it goes down to how easy we make it sound. And I think it was Eric Brewer was saying, and it was on the Steve Trank show, and he was saying how high margin we are. It was on that episode, Carlos, how high margin we are allows a greater margin of error for stupidity, people making mistakes. If you were in the restaurant business and we were acted the way we operate, on razor thin margins, all of us would be out of business. Like 99% of us would be out of business. But we're in such a high margin business. You get one deal, it keeps you alive.
Yeah.
That's my rant, guys. Sorry, that was like a 10-minute rant.
No, it's good stuff.
It was a good story.
Collins being a piece of shit.
If you're tuning in and you're a new wholesaler, don't be like that. I don't think anybody, even if you're an old wholesaler, don't be like that.
We can get some bracelet made. Let me do the acronym here, but instead of like WWJD, it would be like, what would Sergio, whatever his last name, Sergio Collins, not do? That sounds like a scam wholesaler name.
Well, it also is probably a fake. I assume it's a fake name.
Yeah.
I mean, I go by a different name in my marketing, and so do a lot of my virtual callers. We all have different names. I mean, it's very plausible that that's not even a real name.
Serge. Yeah, don't be like Serge.
Very interesting. Well, guys, it's been a great week. Thank you for everybody that tuned in and commented. Hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll be here next week, same time, same place.
Same time, same place. Episode 23 coming up, baby. What will we talk about then? I'll tell you what. Maybe I'm biased, but I also think this is one of the best real estate and stuff podcast YouTube channels out there.
I would agree. And
I know my man, Be Better Tomorrow, AJ Santiago, and Robert Shortsleeves believes the same. Thank you guys for chiming in and participating in today's episode.
100%.
Follow me on Instagram at Mr. Realovative, and I shall follow you back.
Love that. That's a solid offer.
It is a solid offer.
Solid.
All right, guys. See everybody next week. Thank you.